It's time for more cards that are going to save you on cardstock. Let me teach you how to create this fabulous layered card. And we're going to be using very little cardstock to create it. Let me show you how. Hello, my friends. Welcome to another Tuesday tip video. I'm Connie Stewart, and I'm so thrilled you're joining me today. We're going to focus on a really simple little technique, doing a diagonal cut. And as always, I've got tips to go along with today's video. Let's head over to my stamping table and get to creating. I am so excited about these cards because, as I said at the beginning, I'm going to show you how to save your cardstock. So real quick, I'm just going to tell you how we're going to do that. We are going to cut our diagonal paper here, and we're going to use that to create these focal images. It's a fabulous card. So let's go ahead. We're going to start with our first one, and it's going to feature the Magnolia Mood stamp set and matching dies. And friends, this is all we need. I have got a basic white thick card base. This is a 4 1/4 by 11 inches scored at 5 1/2 inches. I'm going to be using the brand new Pretty in Pink cardstock, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And this little gorgeous, this is a 1/8 inch strip. The new 2024-2026 in color glimmer paper, 1/8 of an inch. So this is a great way to get the look of that bling, and it's not going to take a whole lot. Now my piece is cut 12 inches just because the glimmer paper is 12 inches, but we're really only going to need probably about 6 inches, just enough that it's going to be able to go across there. Now I know my measurements were very easy, but I know that you guys love your free download that I share with you over at simplysimplestamping.com, and I have a download for this one as well. So for both cards, you're going to have the photos, the measurements, the supply list. If you need to come back and watch the video, you can scan or click the QR code, and I'll have a complete supply list for you as well. Guys, you'll find this at simplysimplestamping.com or look down in the YouTube description for a direct link. All right, let's create some magic. I'm going to open up my card. I'm going to bring in a smoky slate ink pad, and I'm going to ink up that great big magnolia. Now, when you go to stamp this on the bottom of your card base, I want you to kind of have that visual of how that diagonal is going to go. So I want you to kind of look at your stamp. I mean, we wouldn't want to stamp it like this, right? I want to kind of have that visual of my diagonal. That looks good. I'll stamp that here at the bottom. I'm now going to come in with the matching die, and I'm going to take that over to my die cutting machine. We're going to give this a quick cut. All right, and when we die cut, we've got our great image that's going to go on the front. Now, to get rid of this, we're going to bring in that paper trimmer, and I can see where that track is. And I just want to kind of make sure I'm just going to cut that right off of there. There's my diagonal. Now, before I adhere my Pretty in Pink cardstock inside, I'm going to do a little embossing. I just thought, you know, it'd be great to have a little bit of texture on this. And I'm going to use the brand new So Swirly embossing folder. Have you seen this one in the new catalog? I love it. First thing you're going to notice, it's huge, right? Huge. So this is a thinner embossing folder. So let me show you really quick how to run that through your machine. We're going to start with base plate 1 and cutting plate. We'll sandwich this between and add another cutting plate. All right, we're going to run this through, and there we go. Don't you love those swirls? All right, now before I add this to my card, because it has that embossing on there, I want to go ahead and stamp on the outside. I want to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. So I'm going to bring in my smoky slate ink pad one more time, and the stamp, "Thank you for being you." Let's just stamp that right here. I am going to take my inside sentiment, which says, "Just a note to let you know that you're loved." I'm going to stamp that there on the inside. There's a really great leaf stamp in here, so I'm going to go ahead and just add that around my sentiment. And because I love these magnolias, there's a little one in here, and I'm going to stamp it right down there at the bottom. I'm going to add my adhesive all around the outside edges of the diagonal line up my cardstock, bring that down, and there we go. Okay, now I've got a really fun little technique with that glimmer paper because I just didn't like that harsh seam, but do you like that better? I bet you do. I know I love anything with a little bit of glimmer. So I can kind of see right here about where that's going to go. So let me just snip that in half. I will add a little multi-purpose glue here to this strip. And then you can see I'm just lining that up right on the white, okay, the basic white thick right there. So that gives me that gorgeous glimmer for just such a tiny little bit. I love that. I'm going to start with a soft sea foam Stampin' Write marker. You could also use your blends, whichever one you prefer. And I like to call this painting, okay? So I just like to kind of come in very lightly with the brush tip of my marker. We're going to color in those leaves here. And while I've got this out, we are going to repeat that with the leaves here on the inside of my card as well. Now, I should have clarified. I did say you could use your Stampin' Blends, but you will not be able to use your Stampin' Blends on the inside because it might bleed through. So I want you to just kind of be aware of that. Really, your Stampin' Write markers might be the better choice. You could always test it and see how it works for you before you commit, but adds just a little bit of color. Stampin' Write markers. I love the new markers, by the way. Okay, now we have this that needs that splash of color, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. Rather than color it in, I'm going to bring in the Pretty in Pink ink pad and a blending brush. Now, before I blend, I'm going to ink it up, and I want to get some of that off of there. And I'm going to start here in the middle, and you see how I want that to be a little bit darker? I'll do that over here as well. Now that I have that, I can now come in and lightly just blend a little more color. But I want the darker part to be right there in the middle. And in this flower, I'm going to have it kind of right down there at the bottom. And then we can just we can blend a little more ink on there. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's go ahead and repeat that here with this flower as well. And you know what? Because I love the look of blending over a sentiment, I'm going to add very, very lightly, just a little more Pretty in Pink. It just kind of softens the sentiment. So with that, we are ready to add our focal image. And what is better than Stampin' Dimensionals? Pretty much nothing. So let's add plenty of dimensionals here to our focal image. And this is going to give just an amazing look on the front of this card. Check this out. We can add that right there. And oh my gosh, such a gorgeous card, right? Now I have a second one to share with you. Don't forget to grab your free download that goes along with today's video. You'll find it at simplysimplestamping.com, or if you look down in the YouTube description, I've got a direct link to today's post. All right, so for my second card, I chose some beautiful daisies and some lemon lolly cardstock. This one is actually a little bit simpler, so let's go ahead and get into that one. And we're going to start with that card base. Again, same thing, 4 1/4 by 11. Now for this one, I'm going to only use dies. And I'm using the Cheerful Daisies dies for this one. And we're going to do just like we did before, only last time we stamped. This time we're just going to die cut. So again, before I die cut, I want to kind of get that visual of my diagonal, right? So let me run this through my die cutting machine. Let me set that off to the side. I bet you can guess what we're going to do. Yep, we are going to cut. So just like we did before, I'm going to find the absolute bare minimum to cut off of there. There's my diagonal. Let's go ahead and do our stamping. So I've got a pecan pie ink pad, and this stamp set, I'm going to use the Comforting Thoughts. I thought this one would be really, really nice. I don't have all the right words to say. So this is going to be just a nice encouragement card. I will stamp that in pecan pie right there. And the sentiment for the inside, I do have lots of love to give. So just a really good encouragement card. I have a piece of lemon lolly cardstock. Again, that is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Let me add my adhesive on all sides here of the diagonal. And you notice this lemon lolly, I'm not embossing, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave it. I think it's actually very beautiful. I just found that my focal image was really pretty busy. So I just didn't feel like it needed that, but it did need the bling, right? So I'm going to be using the peach pie glimmer paper. And once again, with the multi-purpose glue, I'm just going to add that. Time to give our daisy some color. So I'm going to be using my Daffodil Delight ink pad, and then I'm going to bring in 2 markers. This will be the Pecan Pie and the brand new Shy Shamrock. So I'm going to start here with the Shy Shamrock, and I'm actually just going to color these leaves. As I said before, I kind of use the brush tip of my Stampin' Write markers almost as, well, just that, a brush. So you don't want to use the tip, okay? You really want to just be kind of using this side. We want to keep that tip nice and sharp for the times that we need that. But this is just a great way. We're just going to paint on some color. All right, I'm going to bring in another blending brush. By the way, I am using the smaller blending brushes because these are kind of smaller focal images. But I'm going to ink that up. And this time, get this, I'm not going to brush any of it off because I want that great big dark daffodil right here at the base in the center here of my flowers, okay? So I want that to be nice and bold. Now I could leave it just like this. Let me show you. So I could not sponge any more on and kind of have white and yellow daisies. So you are welcome to do that, but if you want to add a little bit more, you can just come in and lightly blend some more color right around the edges. So this is where your creativity comes in. If you'd rather have pink daisies, you could use a bubble bath or that brand new Pretty in Pink that I just used. But okay, we've got a nice little burst of daffodil, right? Real soft. Now I'm going to come in with my pecan pie, and the center of that daisy I want to be in pecan pie. Now, if you didn't have the markers, you could also come in maybe with a sponge dauber and add the color with your ink pads as well. But, you know, I found this to be very, very simple. What do you think? This particular die is probably going to need all mini Stampin' Dimensionals because we don't want any dimensionals there in that in the center of the daisies because we have the lemon lolly behind it and the dimensional would show through. So just kind of keep yourself there towards the outside edges of your daisy. And then I'm going to add just a little tiny touch of some multi-purpose glue here on the leaves because there's just no way I could get a dimensional on there. All right, let's add this to our card. All right, I'll just adhere down those leaves. And my friends, isn't that just a great way? And look at what little cardstock we used. I love that I have found a way that we can kind of consume this piece that we've cut off and found a great way to use it. So let me bring in my first card one more time. There you go. Some really great diagonal cards, cardstock saving as well. We gotta love that. Guys, get out those dies and get creative.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, would you give me a little thumbs up on YouTube and take a moment to subscribe? I'd love to have you join the channel. Friends, make it a great day. Go stamp something amazing, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.